I'm not claiming humans are the single most dangerous species in the galaxy. That would be absurd. Have you ever encountered a Croax war beast? Those monsters bleed acid and have 6 rows of serrated teeth. And yet, here I am, issuing this warning to every sentient being who values survival. I am Xyara Vex, Chief Security Officer of the Galactic Trade Federation. For 27 cycles, I've dealt with pirates, smugglers, and every variety of scum the galaxy produces. But humans, they are different. Security alert. Human vessel. Approaching docking bay 12. The announcement blared through my office, interrupting my morning nutrition ritual. I let out a slow sigh, setting down my cup of steaming Juvian tea. Its surface shimmered with a faint purple glow, matching my mood. Computer, details on the human vessel, I ordered, straightening the sleek black fabric of my uniform as it shifted to accommodate my 4-armored torso. Vessel designation, Lucky Strike, registered to Captain Talia Reeves, crew of 6, cargo manifest lists agricultural equipment bound for Nexus 7. I snorted. Agricultural equipment, sure. In my experience, human cargo manifests were works of creative fiction at best, but rarely the kind that caused real trouble, unless provoked. My second-in-command, Crow, burst through the door, his green scales flushed, a clear sign he'd run all the way from the monitoring station. Chief Vex, we have confirmation the Lucky Strike was near the Person Nebula during the Luxian gem heist. That got my attention. Proximity doesn't equal guilt, Crow, I reminded him, though it was suspicious. Luxian gems were worth more than some small planetary systems. No, but this does. He shoved a datapad into my hands. Their power signature matches one recorded fleeing the scene. Well. Perhaps Captain Reeves wasn't just hauling tractors after all. Alert the docking bay. Full security protocol. But remember the rule, I said, making sure he caught the weight in my tone. Crow's face fell. Not the rule. Yes, the rule, I confirmed. Never corner a human. But Chief, that's just an old spacer's tale. I leaned forward, all 4 eyes locking onto him. It's a tale I plan to keep alive. Now, let's meet Captain Reeves and her crew. 3 cycles ago, a Dravenian enforcement squad cornered a human smuggler on Outpost 86. Know what happened? Crow shifted uneasily. They found the squad hanging upside down from the ceiling, completely conscious but unable to move, stripped of their weapons, and their ship's navigation system reprogrammed to blast human accordion music at maximum volume. That's creative, Crow admitted. The human had left them a note. Thanks for the party. The Dravians needed therapy afterward. I stood, towering over my second-in-command. At 8 feet tall, I tended to have that effect on most species. We'll bring them in, but carefully, no cornering. Clear? Clear, Chief. By the time we reached the docking bay, the Lucky Strike had already landed. It wasn't much to look at. A battered mid-range hauler, mismatched hull plates, and evidence of countless field repairs. Typical human practicality over aesthetics. The airlock cycled open. Out stepped Captain Talia Reeves. She was shorter than I expected, maybe 5.5 feet, with warm brown skin and tightly curled black hair cut short against her scalp. Nothing physically imposing, which only made humans more perplexing. Welcome to Starbase Altter, Captain Reeves, I said, keeping my tone official, but non-threatening. I'm Chief Security Officer Vex. The human smiled, a gesture that still unsettles many species, given that on most worlds, baring teeth is a prelude to violence. Nice to meet you, Chief. Something wrong with my docking permits? Her tone was casual, but her eyes flicked from exit to exit. Typical human, always mapping escape routes. Not at all, I replied. We'd just like to ask a few questions about your recent route through the Person Nebula. Her expression stayed the same, but her stance shifted ever so slightly. Beautiful views there, she said. Highly recommended for any tourist. Indeed. Particularly near the Luxian Treasury Outpost, which was robbed 3 standard days ago. Reeves raised her eyebrows. That's terrible news. Hope they catch whoever did it. By then, her crew had emerged from the airlock, a tall, lanky human male with pale skin and red facial hair, a stocky female whose arms bore intricate markings, a pair of identical shaved-headed males, and a smaller female with visible cybernetic enhancements around her eyes. "This is my crew," Reeves said, gesturing casually. "Dax, pilot, Mira, engineering, the twins, Jack and Finn, cargo specialists, and Pixel, our tech expert," Reeves finished. I nodded to each in turn, noting how they'd shifted position, just enough to avoid presenting a single easy target, but not so much as to raise immediate suspicion. "Clever. Perhaps we could continue this conversation in my office," I suggested. "Or we could do it right here," Reeves countered, her smile never wavering. "My crew needs to start unloading. Agricultural equipment doesn't move itself." "Of course," I said, keeping my tone measured. "We detected your vessel's power signature near the Treasury outpost at the time of the heist." "Our signatures can be duplicated," Pixel interjected smoothly. "Elementary tech spoofing. Any decent pirate would know that." "Are you implying," I began, "that this is just a suspicious cargo inspection?" "You know what decent pirates would know." Cow asked, his hand drifting toward his stunner. I shot him a warning glance. "Don't corner them, she's implying your evidence is circumstantial." "At best," Reeves said, still casual, but with a new edge to her voice. "Look, Chief Vex, we are legitimate transporters. Check our credentials, scan our cargo. We are happy to cooperate. That was the problem with humans. They always sounded reasonable. It made you let your guard down. I intend to do exactly that. Captain Cato arranged for a full cargo inspection." Reeves nodded to the twins who retreated into the ship presumably to prepare for inspection. "While they are doing that," I continued. "Perhaps you could explain why your ship made a detour to an uninhabited moon in the Caloran system after leaving person space." That got a reaction. A slight widening of the eyes, quickly controlled navigation error, she said smoothly, corrected. "Once we realized a 12-hour navigation error I pressed, we stopped for repairs. The engineer Mireille interjected, micrometeorite damage. To the port thruster assembly, without filing, a distress notification wasn't an emergency," Reeves said with a shrug. "Just routine maintenance." Just then, my communicator buzzed. I stepped aside to answer it. "Chief, we have a situation," came the voice of Officer TX from Cargo Inspection. "You need to see this on my way," I replied. Then turned to Reeves, "Duty calls, Captain. Please remain." "Here wouldn't dream of going anywhere," she said, leaning casually against her ship. I left Crow and 2 officers to watch them and headed to the cargo bay where the inspection was taking place. Officer Trex met me at the entrance, his 4 tentacles writhing with agitation. We opened the first container, he reported. "It's agricultural equipment, all right, but look at this." He led me to an open crate containing what appeared to be a tilling machine. Perfectly legitimate. "I don't see the problem." I admitted Watch Trex pressed a sequence on the machine's control panel, and suddenly a hidden compartment slid open. It was empty. All the machines have these, Trex explained, hidden compartments perfectly sized for, say, Luxian gems. But they are empty, I noted exactly. If they stole Thegems, where are they? Good question. I circled the machine thinking, check, every millimeter of this ship scan for hidden compartments, false walls, everything already on it. Chief, I returned to the docking bay where Captain Reeves and her crew were waiting exactly where I'd left them, too cooperative. It made me suspicious finding everything in order. Reeves asked pleasantly interesting modifications to your agricultural equipment. I remarked, those hidden compartments aren't standard features. I believe the human didn't flinch. Second-hand market previous. The impossible escape owner must have had special needs. Previous owner have a name. Bill, she said, with a straight face. It's just Bill. This was getting nowhere. Captain Reeves, given the circumstances, I'm detaining your ship and crew pending a full investigation for the first time. The smile slipped from her face. On what grounds? Suspicious modifications to cargo proximity to a-crime scene. Unexplained detour to an uninhabited moon. That's pretty thin. Chief Vex, perhaps, but sufficient for now. I expected protest, even resistance. Instead, Reeves nodded. All right, we will cooperate fully, but I want to register a formal complaint. Something wasn't right. Humans never capitulated this easily. Crow, escort Captain Reeves and her crew to the detention area. I will continue supervising the ship. Inspection, as Crow led them away. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing something. Humans had a saying that had become popular among galactic security forces. If it seems too easy, you are being played. 3 hours later, I was in my office, reviewing the inspection results when KTO burst in again. They are gone, he exclaimed. I stood up so quickly, my chair crashed to the floor. What do you mean? Gone. The humans, they have escaped detention? How? I demanded. We don't know. The cell doors were locked. The guards were at their posts, but the cells are empty. I slammed all 4 of my fists on my desk. Sound the alert locked down the station. As the alarm began to wail, I rushed toward the detention center. The cells were indeed empty, with no sign of forced entry or exit. The surveillance system showed nothing. Just empty cells one moment and the next. Scan, still empty cells. The guards saw nothing. I asked the detention supervisor nothing. He confirmed they were doing regular checks. The humans were there, then they weren't. That's when a new alert sounded, unauthorized, DEP. Did they go? The operator checked her instruments, confusion evident on her face. They are gone, no trace on any scanners. That's impossible. But it wasn't impossible, it was human just then. Every screen in the control center changed instead of their normal displays. They all showed the same image. Captain Talia Reeves, smiling that unnervingly friendly human smile. Hello, Chief Vex, the recorded message began. By now, you have noticed, we have left your hospitality behind. No hard feelings. I stood there, speechless as she continued. Those empty compartments you found, they were empty because we already made the drop. The Luxian gems are back with their rightful owners, by the way. The Luxian government hired us to recover them after they were stolen. By one of your own GTF officials. Check your records. On Administrator Vorex and his sudden acquisition of wealth, I felt a chill run through me. Vorex, one of our highest-ranking officials, well let ourselves be caught to gain access to your station, Reeves. Continued needed to plant some tracking software in your systems to follow the money trail. Don't worry. We didn't take anything else. Well, except maybe some of that excellent Juvian tea from your office. Pixel has a weakness for it. The human's expression grew more serious. One last thing. Chief, you almost broke the rule. Never corner a human, remember, but you caught yourself in time, so we are letting it slide your interceptor pilots, though they might need new navigation systems when they find themselves in orbit around that lovely uninhabited moon where we supposedly had a navigation error. The image froze on her smile, then faded to black. All around the control center systems began rebooting status of the interceptors. I asked weakly the operator. Checked her now functioning console. They are transmitting from the Caloran system, specifically in orbit around the uninhabited moon. That moon was 16 light years away. They couldn't possibly have been transported there instantly. And yet, status of their crews. I asked, all alive and unharmed. But sir, they are reporting that their navigation systems have been replaced with antique human music players, something called boom boxes, playing something called Never Going. To give you up on repeat. I collapsed into the nearest chair, all 4 of my arms hanging limply at my sides. This is why we have the rule. People. This is why we never corner a human, because somehow they always find a way out and they make sure you remember it. And now, if you will excuse me, I need to have a very uncomfortable conversation with my superiors about Administrator Vorex and his apparent involvement in the original theft of the Luxian gems, but first I need another cup of Juvian tea. If there's any left, 3 months after the Lucky Strike incident as it had come. Toby known around Starbase Altter, I was still dealing with the Fallout administrator. Vorlik had been arrested, tried, and sentenced to 20 cycles on a prison moon. His sophisticated scheme to steal the Luxian gems using his security clearance had been uncovered thanks to the data Captain Reeves and her crew had planted in our systems. Did I receive any recognition for uncovering corruption in the highest levels of the Galactic Trade Federation? Hey, don't make my breathing sacs vibrate with laughter. The official report states that you allowed 6 humans to infiltrate a high-security facility, access restricted systems, and escape with Federation property. His Director Prazak reminded me for the 1,000th time during my performance a new assignment. The Peace Summit Review Director Prazak was a Quantar, a species known for their bureaucratic precision and complete lack of humor. His translucent skin revealed the constant methodical pumping of his 3 hearts. I often wondered if he had been born with a data pad in his hand and a disapproving expression on his face. The humans were working for the Luxian government, I explained, trying to keep my forearms from gesticulating in frustration. They returned the stolen gems to their rightful owners. Using illegal methods, he countered his voice as dry as the deserts of Zax 9, and they humiliated the Federation in the process, our interceptor. Pilots still wake up screaming about something called Rick Ashley. I suppressed a sigh. The point is, Director, we uncovered corruption within our own ranks. Surely that counts for something. Prazak's skin briefly flushed, elo indicating mild irritation. It does, Chief Vex. It's why you are receiving a performance review rather than a termination notice. Well, when he put it that way. However, he continued, given your experience with humans, the Council has decided to assign you to a special task. I didn't like the sound of that special task. The human delegation arriving tomorrow for the Galactic Peace Summit, all 4 of my eyes widened in alarm. You want me to be responsible for humans? After what happened? Precisely because of what happened. Prazak said, his expression unreadable. You respect them, fear them even, that's appropriate. I don't fear them. I protested, I just understand their unpredictability. Then you are perfect for the assignment. The delegation includes several high-ranking officials from their United Earth government. Your job is to ensure their safety and prevent any incidents. Director, with all due respect, the decision is final. Chief Vex, he interrupted, sliding a data pad across his desk. Here are the details. The human vessel diplomatic endeavor arrives at 080 tomorrow. Don't be late. As I left Prazak's office, I scrolled through the assignment details. The human delegation consisted of Ambassador Mira Olin, 3 diplomatic aides, and a security team headed by Captain Talia Reeves. Of course, the galaxy has a twisted sense of humor, but Chief, one of the newer officers, asked, how do we know if a human is making a joke? Their mouths curve upward and they make that strange barking sound. Crow explained, and demonstrating a poor imitation of human laughter that sounded more like a malfunctioning ventilation system. Just follow my lead, I said firmly as the docking bay doors began to open. The diplomatic endeavor was nothing like the Lucky Strike. It was sleek, modern, and bore the official insignia of the United Earth government. As the airlock opened, I straightened my uniform and prepared to greet Ambassador Olin. Instead, Captain Talia Reeves stepped out first, wearing a crisp blue uniform with silver trim. Her eyes locked on mine immediately, and that familiar, unnerving smile spread across her face. Chief Vex. What a pleasant surprise. They told me we'd have top-level security but reunion with Captain Reeves. I didn't expect the chief herself, Captain Reeves. I didn't expect to see you again so soon. Life's full of surprises, she replied cheerfully, especially for those in our line of work. Before I could respond, a tall, elegant human female with silver-streaked dark hair emerged from the airlock. Ambassador Mira Olin carried herself with a quiet dignity that commanded attention. Ambassador, I greeted her with a formal bow. Welcome to Starbase Altter. I am Chief Security Officer Xyara Vex. Thank you. Chief Vex, she replied with a warm smile. I understand our security detail has worked with you before Captain Reeves has briefed me on your previous encounter. Olin said, her expression becoming more serious. I want to assure you that we are here in good faith. The Peace Summit is vitally important to human interests in the galaxy. Of course, Ambassador. We have prepared quarters for your delegation in the diplomatic wing. If you will follow me, as we walked through the station, I noticed the stares and whispers. From other species, humans were still relatively new to the galactic community, having achieved faster than light travel only 60 years ago, been their rapid expansion, and adaptability had unnerved many of the older species. You are causing quitia stir, I commented to Ambassador Olin. We often do, she replied with a wry smile. Humans have a knack for making an impression. Some would say that's an understatement. She laughed, a pleasant sound unlike Katao's harsh imitation. Captain Reeves told me you understand humans better than most non-terrestrials. She has a certain respect for you. He glanced back at Reeves, who was scanning our surroundings with professional intensity. That's surprising to hear you follow the rule, Olin said simply. Many don't humans go home, their leader shouted, his barbed tentacles writhing aggressively. The galaxy belongs to the ancient races. My security team moved forward, stunners. Ready, but I held up a hand to stop them. Stunners against Vixari would only enrage them further. Ambassador, please stay back, I said, stepping forward. These protesters are. I didn't finish my sentence, because Captain Reeves and her security team had already moved into a protective formation around Ambassador Olin with startling speed. Diplomatic incident brewing at 2EU, Reeves muttered to her team. Findax left flank pixel jack. Right flank non-lethal protocols. Wait, those were the same crew members from the Lucky Strike. Her diplomatic security team was her smuggling crew. Before I could process this revelation, the lead Vixari charged forward, aiming his barbed tentacles at Ambassador Olanmi. 4 hearts nearly stopped. What happened next was so fast, I barely registered it. Reeves stepped forward. The Vixari protesters' incident ducked under the tentacle and executed. A complex maneuver that somehow used the Vexar's momentum against him. The much larger alien found himself flat on his back, blinking in confusion. The other protesters hesitated clearly, not expecting resistance from the physically smaller humans. The ambassador is under the protection of both Earth and the Galactic Trade Federation, Reeves announced, her voice carrying a steel edge. I hadn't heard before this summit will proceed peacefully. Anyone who disagrees can take it up with me personally. There was something in her stance, her tone, that made even the aggressive Vexari reconsider one by one. They backed away, dragging their stunned leader with them. Impressive, I admitted as my security team. There's something happening at this summit that you need to know about. My instincts went on high alert. What kind of something? The kind that got our intelligence division very nervous. There's a plot to disrupt the summit, possibly with violence. We don't know who's behind it, but the threat is credible, and you are telling me this now. Why not through official channels? Because we don't know who we can trust, she said bluntly. The last time we were here, we uncovered corruption at the highest levels of your organization. She had a point. What do you need from me? Your help, my team is good, but we don't know this station like you do. We need someone who can see things from the inside. I considered her request working. With humans was dangerous, unpredictable. But if there was a genuine threat to the summit, I will help. I decided, but we do this by my rules. No vanishing acts, no hacking our systems, and no borrowing my tea without asking. Reeves grinned. Deal, and for what? It's worth. Pixel says, your taste in tea is excellent. Over the next 2 days, we worked together to tighten security around the summit. Despite our different methods, I found myself developing a grudging respect for Reeves and her team. They were unconventional but effective and surprisingly knowledgeable about the complex politics of the galaxy. How do humans learn so much so quickly? I asked Reeves as we reviewed security footage together. Your species has only been part of the galactic community for 6 decades. We are curious, she replied, eyes still on? The screens, and we had a head start with science fiction. Turns out a lot of our writers accidentally got things right. Fiction helped you prepare for real interstellar relations. Never underestimate the power of imagination, she said with a wink. It's our secret weapon. On the morning of the summit's opening ceremony, everything seemed secure. Representatives from 27 species had gathered in the Grand Assembly Hall. Ambassador Olin was preparing to deliver Earth's proposal for new trade, agreements that would give humans greater access to galactic markets. I was stationed near the main entrance with Crow when Reeves' voice came through my communicator Vex. We have a problem. Pixel detected an anomaly in the environmental systems. Someone's trying to introduce a compound into the air supply. What kind of compound, I asked, immediately signaling my teams to alert status unknown. But it's specifically targeted at the human delegation's biochemistry, some kind of airborne neurotoxin evacuate. Your people you ordered already moving toward the environmental control center. I will lock down the system. No time. Reeves replied, her voice tense but controlled the ceremony. Starts in 3 minutes. If we evacuate now, whoever's behind this will just try. Again, somewhere else. We need to catch them in the act. That's too risky. Trust me, she said. We have countermeasures, but we need to find the source against my better judgment. I agreed to environmental control is on level 3, section 8. I'm heading there. Now meet you there, Reeves replied. Director Prozac's betrayal. When I arrived at the control center, I found 2 of my officers unconscious outside the door. Inside, a hooded figure was working at the main terminal. Freeze, I commanded, drawing my stunner. Step away from the controls. The figure turned, and I was shocked to see Director Prozac's translucent features beneath the hood. Director, what are you doing? What must be done? He replied calmly. Humans are a threat to galactic stability. Their expansion must be contained by assassinating their ambassador. That's not containment, that's war, a necessary sacrifice, he said, reaching for something inside his robe. Before I could react, a blur of motion came from the ventilation shaft above. Captain Reeves dropped from the ceiling, landing between me and Prozac. How she had navigated the station's ventilation system was a mystery for another time. Prozac fired some kind of energy weapon. But Reeves moved with that uncanny human speed, dodging the blast and closing the distance between them. There was a brief struggle, and then Prozac was on the ground, Reeves' knee on his chest and his own weapon pointed at his central heart. The thing about humans, she told him conversationally as if she weren't holding a deadly weapon, but is that we have spent our entire evolutionary history fighting things bigger and stronger than ourselves. We got really good at it. Security teams flooded the room, securing Prozac and the contamination device he'd been installing. It turned out he was part of a conservative faction within the Federation that viewed humans as a destabilizing force in galactic politics. How did you know he'd be here? I asked Reeves afterward as medical teams treated the affected areas. We didn't, she admitted, but Pixel traced the security breach to someone with director-level clearance. We narrowed it down from there. And the ventilation shaft? She grinned. Always have an exit strategy, or in this case, an entrance strategy. The summit proceeded without further incident. Ambassador Olin's trade proposal was well received, leading to new agreements that would benefit both understanding humans and conclusion humans and the wider galactic community. As the human delegation prepared to depart, I met with Reeves one last time on the observation deck overlooking the docking bays. So I said, "Will you be returning to your agricultural equipment business now?" She laughed. Not immediately. Ambassador Olin has a few more diplomatic missions planned after that. Who knows? The galaxy is a big place full of opportunities and things that need to be stolen back. Exactly, she agreed with that characteristic smile. Though I prefer to think of it as redistributive justice, I shook my head in amazement. You know, in all my years of security work, I have never met a species quite like humans. I will take that. As a compliment, it's an observation, I clarified. You are unpredictable, adaptable, and somehow both terrifying and endearing at the same time. Just wait until you try our food, she said with a wink. Speaking of which, I brought you something she handed me. A small packaged genuine earth-grown tea, a thank you for your help, as we said our goodbyes. I found myself thinking about the rule never corner a human. It had started as a warning born from fear of their unpredictability. But perhaps there was another interpretation: never corner a human because they work best as allies, not enemies, because their creativity and adaptability are assets too valuable to waste on conflict, because sometimes the most dangerous species can also be the most dedicated protectors. I watched the diplomatic endeavor depart, already anticipating Captain Reeves' next visit. Something told me our paths would cross again soon. And strangely, I was, looking forward to it after all. Life gets interesting when humans are involved. Dangerous. Certainly, unpredictable, absolutely, but never ever boring, and in a galaxy as vast and ancient as ours, that might be their greatest gift of all.